And so now what I think you're saying is, well, let's be purposeful in thinking about how we're thinking about things as a means to get better outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's partially that we need more time to sort of think about our thinking, but that's in large part because the complexity and speed and competitiveness of society makes thinking critically important.
Yes,
right.
I think that's right.
I mean, I guess you could say in the past there were times where, if you got it roughly right, you'd be fine. Well, today, there's, if you get it roughly right, maybe you're not.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that quickly, if you're not fast, life's moving on. So it's a combination of the increase in complexity, the increase in competitiveness,
speed,
the increase in speed of life, right? And that's all of that is because of the increase in interconnectivity of the world and things like that. I mean, so I think that requires us to be higher performance thinkers.
Yes.
Right? And once you need those performance gains, you're not going to get it by just tooling around.
Right.
You're going to get it by focusing and being like, oh, okay, in order to get my jump higher,
right,
I got to work on specific muscle groups with specific movements that's actually going to have a huge effect on my jump, aside from just jumping.
Yes.
Right? So maybe what we know is just jumping alone isn't going to be the best way to get your jumping higher. You can do all these isolated drills and activities that are going to help you. In the same way that just sprinting around the track isn't the only thing that sprinters do to get faster.
Right.
They're doing a lot of very isolated, specific, tactical, and technical things to get faster.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
And so the same thing is true with thinking. And there's a lot on the line when it comes to thinking because, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're, a high-level person of any kind, the way you're thinking is going to drive what you do, what you choose to do, what you choose not to do, all those kinds of things. So thinking becomes really important.
Right, because it's underneath every decision you make, every behavior you exhibit.
Yeah.
It's all stemming from how you're thinking about something.
Your emotional controls, your being able to have emotional intelligence, all of that's driven by thinking.
I guess to me the challenge a little bit is, you can purposefully practice physical movements that are related to some outcome you want physically. But in terms of mental fitness or increasing sort of your thinking capabilities, that requires bringing things into your sort of it's a conscious practice.
Yes.
So it seems to me that there could be a little bit more of a hurdle coming from unconscious to conscious practice of, sort of reminding yourself. It's not easy to bring unconscious into conscious. It does require a moment of time or a series of time where you're reminding yourself to bring those things into your your awareness, right?
Yeah.
We talk about metacognitive awareness and those kinds of things.
Again, I just think we're on the cusp of a very exciting time in cognition where we make it ultimately practical and pragmatic and technical and around not simply understanding cognition for understanding's sake, but understanding it in such a way that we can do things that make us better at it.
Yes.
Right? And I think if you go to that moment, again, it's hard to even conceptualize that moment where somebody says, what if I put a bar on the back of my neck?
Yeah, right.
And I put some weights on the bar.
Yeah.
And then I go down in a squat, and then I go back up again, and I do that 10 times.
Yeah, people would think that was insane.
Yeah, right? Like that at that moment, and imagine like you doing that in an agrarian society and people are like, what's he doing? Why is he doing that? We just lifted hay bales all day, or we just lifted, whatever, sorghum or some grain all day.
Yeah.
Why is he doing that?